Hi everyone, and welcome back to Growing Our Retirement. It's spring, it's gorgeous out, and
Hooray.
we have a lot to talk about.
We do. We've been pretty busy over the winter. We did a lot of hardwood cuttings this winter. We were keeping up the nursery quite a bit because there's always toppled pots and things to do.
And we've been writing articles for the website.
We have a big deer problem in New Jersey. Just the density of deer is just enormous here. So we have to be out. We spray a deer repellent, which is on the website. But if we don't do that, they get munched. And we did have some emerald green arborvitaes that became somebody's lunch this year.
We did, and they're usually kind of deer resistant. But they chomp them.
Yeah, they don't know how resistant they are, but the spray helps usually. And you know, we don't have them that close to the edge of anything, but they got chomped. So
yeah,
that happens. But today we are planting red bud trees, and we just thought we'd give you guys a little reminder about how to do trees and how we do them. So we do some in 3-gallon pots, and we do some about 10% in 5-gallon pots.
Why do you do that?
Well, the reason that we do it is kind of a long-term plan. So we want to eventually offer larger plants to our customers. So if we kind of have a couple of rules of 10%, we kind of hold back 10%, and we plant 10% in larger containers to be sold a little bit later, a year or two later than the bulk of them, for of course more money. But the bulk of our business is like the 3-gallon pot for woody plants and small trees. That's a good size.
Right.
But we'd like to eventually, and it takes time, get into more 5 and 7-gallon pots so that we have an assortment to offer our customers.
Great.
So when we plant trees like this, we always do a little bit of minor root pruning, sometimes a little more than others. And we're always going to prune the tops a little bit because root pruning and top pruning promotes branching both in the stems of the tree and also the roots of a tree. And so hopefully they'll all double out at least, if not more. And then you end up with fuller roots that'll fill the container, and then a fuller top that's going to make a nicer plant for your customer eventually when you go to sell it.
We're also topping them with a little slow release fertilizer.
Yep, so it's spring. Everything's in the whole nursery is going to get fertilized in the next couple of weeks, including everything that we plant. So we've already planted, this is, let's say, first week in April. We've already planted several hundred spruce trees. We planted some red twig dogwoods. We planted pink dogwoods.
Maples? Do we do any maples? Red maples?
We planted 100 red maples, yep. And so this is probably our 4th year planting red maples, so I think we're going to have a few to sell, which would be nice. So also what comes along with spring planting for us is spring selling.
Oh,
so
I thought he was going to say weeding.
Well, so general nursery maintenance includes weeding. We do get a lot of pots that get toppled over. I mean, we get some heavy rains and winds. And deer, and they knock things over. So we just, Martha went through yesterday and straightened everything out.
Yeah.
We've got to go through and we've got to blow some leaves out as well.
Right, and do a lot of weeding.
So
that's part of it.
Plenty of weeding to be done right now. So weeds really are a big problem, and you know, there's a lot of different ways people deal with weeds, including, you know, hand pulling them out. There's these really cool but kind of expensive discs that you can put in a pot.
Oh.
And it's made out of the same fabric as weed mat, and it kind of keeps the weeds down.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yep. They're, you know, 10 cents a piece or something. So we might try that on some of the bigger pots. Also, I'm going to try to experiment with putting just a little thin layer of wood chips down.
Really?
Yeah, so we get wood chips for free. We use them around the property to keep weeds down.
And what do they do?
Well, they'll help suppress the weeds.
Like mulch?
Like a mulch, same thing as a mulch. Also, we have a lot of pots that, you know, the pots always continue to settle.
Yes.
And you know, we have things that sit around for 2 and 3 years. And so just to sort of top things off too, I think, you know, the wood chips would be fine. You don't want to mix any wood in our soil. We use bark, but never wood. So, but just as a way to, you know, run along the rows of our plants and just be able to drop some wood chips in, spread them out, it would go pretty quick. And I'm going to give it a try on a couple of hundred plants this year and just see how it works.
Cool. I like it.
We'll get back to you on that and see how it works.
And we get them for free. So we have been working on things that take a long time to grow, right?
Right. 2 and 3 years,
Yes.
4 years.
Right. So we were thinking of diversifying a little bit and trying to come up with things that we can be ongoingly selling stuff, right?
Right. 1 year turn kind of stuff.
Which really is perennials.
Yep.
So we're experimenting with some hostas. We have a whole bunch we planted last year. And our strategy is that we are going to not sell most of them, but divide them and try to turn them into twice as much or even more plants than what we have right now.
Right. So to build up a stock.
Exactly.
So that we have a pretty consistent supply of, say, one variety of hostas. So if we have, you know, I don't know, if we get to 100 plants in that particular one, we would never sell the whole 100.
Right.
At this point, we might have 25 to 50 of a plant. So we might sell almost none this year, divide them again, get out to that 100, and then we can divide and then, you know.
Always have something to sell from.
Yeah, and it takes, I think it takes more than one season really to propagate something like a hosta.
It totally does.
Yeah, and so, you know, you get them going in one season, but then they've really got to fill out into the next season. So,
Right, exactly.
So it's time to start building that up,
Yeah.
which I think we're going to put some beds in,
Yes.
sort of permanent beds for hostas.
Right.
So we don't need to put them all in pots when we could just have them in really nice, like perfect environment beds, and then start dividing out of there, put them into pots, and sell them. So it's a whole new thing for us. It's really good for the low cost,
It
low
is.
startup, because you get to turn your plants a little bit quicker, which is not something we've ever really been all that worried about. You know, we're more worried about building up 10, 12,000 plants that are growing that we're going to harvest, you know, later on.
Right. I'm also taking perennials from my own garden.
Yep.
Like the lamb's ear grows so prolifically.
It does.
That I'm just constantly
That one's not one that takes long.
right, pulling them out and potting them, and so we'll have lots of lamb's ear, we'll have lots of cranesbill geraniums, many different things just from my own garden that just keep multiplying.
Yeah. So for you perennial lovers, we'll have a lot more on that this year. That'll be coming up. And we're going to get into a little bit more about selling this year, talking about some of the things we are. Both of our backgrounds are actually kind of in events and promotion and marketing and digital marketing, which is what I do professionally. So we're going to show you some things that we do and that have worked for us in selling plants.
And guess what? Speaking of digital
Yes.
marketing, we have become monetized.
Yes, we have. So it took us about 6 months of videos on YouTube, and thanks to all of you who have watched us.
Yay!
We have enough subscribers and enough watch time, which is just a crazy metric, 4,000 hours. And we sit here and we're like, who would watch 4,000 hours of us talking about plants? But
All you plant lovers out there.
thankfully, people love plants as much as we
I
do.
think we watch as much as you guys watch.
Yeah, so we hit that back a couple of months ago, and that was pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
What's startlingly interesting is how very, very little that YouTube pays you. It's
I wasn't
just-
sure you were going to actually admit.
Yeah,
It's what, $112 that we're up to?
yeah, over even a couple of months already. So, you know, we've made more money on these 3
Yeah.
plants than we would have ever made on YouTube.
Well, we're not going out to dinner yet.
Yeah, no.
but
But
it's fun and it'll grow.
it will grow, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things where, you know, you get to a certain amount of videos and you have a less watch time per month that it can become a little bit of something.
Yeah.
But we like doing it. We like sharing, and you know, we've been so helped by so many other YouTubers. We like to see what they're doing in their part of the country and their scale of nursery and their type of plants that they grow. It's really just amazing how much you can learn on YouTube.
I know, it's awesome.
So what else is coming? So we've got a lot of plants growing, and we're going to be going through this year, as we do every year, and do a lot of pruning of plants that need to be pruned so that they branch out. So we've got dogwoods, we've got viburnums,
Spireas.
spireas. We have a tremendous amount that we planted over the last couple of years that are ready for a good prune. So that's going to have to occur, you know, probably around June, and then we're going to propagate from those. And one of our goals is to buy in less plants per year. We'll always buy in Norway spruces like this. We just, you know, to grow a plant like this that's now already 4 years old starting really doesn't make a lot of sense for us. And you'd have to start them probably from seed, which we don't even know if we're good at yet. We've never really done a lot of that.
That takes a long time.
That takes a long time. So, I mean, this plant's, good 5 years in the making. We don't really want to own this plant for more than 2 to 4 years, depending on how big we want to grow it. So, but for the smaller stuff, for the spireas, the dogwoods, we can just start to get a nice supply of rooted cuttings going.
Yeah, and we just cut the tops off of them, and they'll just
and then they just
burst.
They have to be trimmed to burst out anyway. So,
Right.
yeah, there'll be a lot of that. The other thing to talk about is upgrades in the nursery. So this year we've got a whole. I don't know if you've been following along, but we started a whole new section of our nursery last fall, and we planted 800 spruces and about another 1,000 different assorted plants and trees, and that's going to need to have irrigation, but that's located kind of 90 degrees away from the rest of our nursery. So we're just going to run a line with our pump from the pond.
Good.
And make a little bit better valving system this year, and set it up so we can do that whole section as well, completely from the pond. And we're going to try to really do very little watering from the house and the well pump this year. It's really been it's taken a toll, and it's been an expensive proposition getting that worked out. But we will water a little bit from the house, and then we're going to water most of the rest of the nursery from just the pond, which may include getting a second pump. So, because we've got a lot of square foot to cover. Other upgrades, we're going to upgrade our planting table this year. It was something I was going to do over the winter, but did not do. We're going to do something. Sometimes we have as many as 4 people planting at a time. When we get a lot of plants in from one supplier, and we've got 1,000 plants to do, we'll get a couple of helpers in, and there'll be 4 of us working here. One will just be bringing dirt in and taking plants out, and the other 3 planting, and we could barely keep up with each other, and we need more space, and we need it to be higher.
Right, so right now we're on sawhorses with 2 2x4s raised up, a piece of plywood.
Right.
And it's sufficient. If this house is how you're starting, we've used this for years, but my back hurts right now.
Right.
And it's just a little too low, like you just said.
And I'm even taller.
Exactly.
My back hurts more.
I must be killing you. So it needs to be like higher than countertop.
Yeah.
Counter height top.
It does.
So I'll be so thrilled when that happens.
And we're going to make it larger. We have, if you can imagine, we're constantly shuffling. Like, we've got a pile of plants, we've got pots over here, we've got the soil mix in the middle, and then we've got plants that we finished that are ready to go. So we'd like to get it probably almost close to twice this size, just to get it up to a more workable thing, and then so we can do more at once.
And also,
less shuffling.
Don't you want it behind you, which you can't see, is a shed? Did you want to put it up against the shed so that often dirt will fly over to the other side?
Right. So
we'll have to scoop all that
when
up.
I dump dirt, it often falls off the table. So I actually want to move the shed, expand the whole area, and then be able to dump easily, not have to disrupt everybody while I'm dumping a load of dirt or soil.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got grand plans.
We're upscaling a little bit. We also found it easier this year. I bought all of our soil mix this year, all the components all at once instead of getting smaller loads. So I've got about 30 yards of material up there, which will take us most of the year to finish that off. We got about 20 bags of perlite, and so we're in pretty good shape for the year in terms of that as well.
Good.
And the other project we want to work on this year is some deer fencing. So we saw a great video on YouTube about someone who uses monofilament line.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it is. It's a great idea. And
cheaper than fencing too.
Right, and just regular metal T-posts. So the monofilament line, I won't go way into it, but it just is a deterrent to keep the deer out.
Right.
And we've tried a little bit of it, and I want to try a little bit more in bigger areas. And we really did get hit this year. I didn't realize how much the deer liked the emerald green arborvitaes. They must have had a shortage of food, and then they just found them and poof, knocked out about 50 of them.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of a shame.
It was sad.
Yep, despite our deer spray, which has worked really well on everything else. That's really the only thing that's ever been eaten.
And maybe I should have done it sooner,
Right.
like it could have just been,
the deer spray works, but if it rains a lot, it could wash some of it off. If you keep it pretty fresh, Although we don't really want to go out all winter long when it's freezing cold and spray every 2 weeks.
No, once a month is usually sufficient. But
So-
maybe I skipped a month. I don't know.
We're going to do a big experiment with the deer fencing and probably try a couple of different things and see what works well.
Yeah.
We do need to freely get in and out of the nursery areas, so we don't want to make it more difficult for ourselves.
Oh, true.
Yeah, which we don't really want to do at all. So anyway, that's a little bit of things to come. We got an exciting year ahead, and we are going to show you what we do
Yeah, so stay tuned.
kind of every week, and
Stick with us.
we'll go through a lot of our planting, selling this year, propagating, of course, as always.
And how we're going to set up our selling area.
Yeah, we're working on it.
We're renovated it,
Yep.
and we're,
Yep.
you know, just,
We've
we,
out-
we spruced it up.
Outgrown our old selling area, and we don't have our selling area and our nursery in the same spot because we
Right.
don't want people traipsing through
Exactly.
asking us how much these little teeny plants are that really aren't for sale.
Right.
So we've kept them separate, and they're physically 200, 300 feet away from each other, if not more.
Right.
So, but we needed to make more room
Yeah, we
in our
upgraded.
selling area,
We upgraded.
and it's much better. And it's going to get even bigger over time. And I think we may put a shade house up there as well too
Ooh,
eventually.
okay.
So, and water. We need water.
Lots to come.
We need more water
oh,
up there.
we need water. That is really, water's interesting.
There's a lot.
Plants need water.
They do.
So thanks for watching.
Yep, stick with us. Thank you for watching as always, and hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.